Congratulations on being awarded the new Teacher of the Year from ACTE. It's really, really exciting, and thanks for joining us today. If you don't mind, just have a few questions for you, and then maybe you can ask some questions of me, and we'll go from there. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
So, how are you feeling being a rock star, kind of? Did you come off of cloud nine yet?
I came off of cloud nine. It's slowly sinking in still, but it was, at first, it took a day or two to sink in. Everyone's been congratulating me and all, and it's been really good so far.
Well, that's awesome. So as a new teacher, we'd like to know a little bit about your background and how you even gotten involved with CTE in the first place.
So I actually was a product of CTE education. I was in 4-H prior to getting into high school, and once I was in high school in Florida, I actually enrolled in agriculture education classes, became active in FFA. I also took a culinary class, but 4 years of CTE education, and then I became an FFA state officer. I went to UF for agriculture education and communications with a specialization in 6th through 12th education. And so I am actually a product of CTE myself. We always grew up raising livestock and all. And so going into agriculture was perfect fit. And I found a good passion for me of working with students and working with people. My year I was a state officer and all. At first, when I actually graduated high school, I was not sure I wanted to teach, but I started as forestry, bounced over to horticulture, and then I ended up at UF in agriculture education. I decided, hey, I'm going to teach, and CTE was my place.
Wow, that's awesome, and we're so excited for you to be a CTE teacher, and there must be something that you're doing, a practice that you're doing, or something that's unique to your teaching that made you such a success right off the bat. So can you share that with us?
Sure. I actually used ACTE's 12 standards of a high quality program, a CTE program, to build my program when I started at Bradford in the school district there. And so I've used that to build my community development, my student interests, align my courses to standards, find supporters, work with parents, work with individuals, and just throughout my program, build my program that way. Using those frameworks and their suggestions has really allowed me to put together a complete program that's sequenced in order to help students start as ninth grade foundation students and spend their whole entire high school in agriculture education, possibly come out with an industry certification, and go on to earn college credit before taking those classes and those industry certs if they want to. So I've really implemented those frameworks that ACTE gives us to create a unique program for my students. And it really helps build student interest. We find what our students are passionate about, and we let them go with it.
Yeah, no, that's outstanding, and that's great that you're using the program. Although you're a newer teacher, you've been in CTE, like you said, for a long time. Tell us about one of your proudest accomplishments in CTE.
If I think about it now. I mentor new teachers in our district, and so I last year was able to mentor 4 different new CTE teachers in our district to help them from anywhere from nursing to logistics to criminal justice, and learn because they were not education background majors like myself. Would help them find their foothold, help them develop their programs and all. And that made me really proud of their programs, and I've been this year with teaching. So helping those new teachers find their passions like I did when I was in CTE education and I was a first-year teacher. I had great mentor teachers as a first-year teacher, even though they weren't CTE. And so what I learned from them, I really built what I would see my mentoring program on, and helping them find their passions and build their programs. And 3 out of 4 actually returned to CTE education this year. So that helped me really fill that gap in my school district of needing teachers.
Sure, sure. That's great. This has been a kind of a crazy year. So it's a crazy year to start as a new teacher, and but also kind of crazy with the COVID-19 pandemic. What kind of advice or support or encouragement would you give the teachers facing these challenges in a COVID environment?
When I started having to deal with the COVID pandemic back in March, it was before our spring breakers, right during our county fair and all, and having to go from being to being 3 weeks in that fire I had when I first started teaching CTE. And so my advice would be for teachers who are struggling now, think back to why you started teaching.
My advice would be to find that passion that you had originally when you first started teaching. You're going to need that passion to really drive you this year. And so finding that passion, I believe, will help you really move forward with your teaching and not get stuck in a rut. We were out for 3 weeks where we couldn't even find resources. And so I had to be creative, from teaching in my yard with my chickens to finding new and innovative things that were on the computer and bringing that into my students. And once I could get back to my resources, I had to pause for a minute and think, why did I start teaching, and find that fire? The second thing I would advise teachers to do, set yourself a schedule. Don't worry about parent phone calls unless it's super urgent. Set a time and a date in the morning to do that. And that book, Eat This Frog, is like the best procrastination and organizing tip that I've ever read. So I actually read that book. It was given to us by Facti. And so I actually read that book while we were out over break, and it really helped me organize my day of teaching virtually. And you learn how to take on your biggest, toughest tackle project first. And so that really helped me. And then third, make time for yourself. If your end of your day is 3:30, take time and get off the computer, get away from your phone, take a walk, find some way to unplug and let go of work, because working from home and bringing work home with you really can be stressful and wearing on you. And so I had to learn that the hard way, of unplug. And so every day after I would get done teaching virtually, I'd take an hour walk and just walk around the block a few times and just let that air in, let the air out, breathe, pause, and unwind from that day. Because if you stay connected all the time to your email or answering or putting in grades 24/7, you will burn out really, really quickly. And I learned that teaching virtually.
Yeah, that's great advice. And thank you for sharing that. And then being a part of ACTE, obviously it's important to you. What do you value most? And what would you say to someone who is thinking about becoming a member to ACTE?
I really value the networking, first off, through the conferences and such. I was actually able to go to the national conference last year in California, which was awesome. And working with other teachers around the nation, I was actually able to virtual chat with somebody about their farm while we were away from school. And he's all the way in South Carolina, and bring his ag program in and all, and teach my students about it. And that was just a huge networking thing that would never happened unless it was going to it. Another tool I use a lot, if maybe we'll get to go to the Capitol this year, is the talking to legislators and working for your program for funding and all. They have great tools on talking to legislators, how to set up appointments and all. And that's something you can actually use with your students and make them better speakers as well. And the other thing, like I said before, is those 12 high quality standards programs and building that in. And anyone that's interested in joining, I'd definitely tell them to join, because there's a lot more that you can get out of it. If you actually look into it a little bit and start reading a little bit, you'll find a lot of great resources to create an awesome program that's going to work with your community and really grow your program if you're interested in growing your program. ACTE can help you do that.
That's outstanding advice, and that's awesome. So it's been a great experience for you, and you're just getting started. So congratulations on that. This is an opportunity for you if you'd like to ask some questions from about Goodhart Willcox or about me, or if there's something else you'd like to talk about, I'm happy to do that as well.
Sure, I have a question for you. In what ways can Goodhart Willcox support new teachers in our industry?
That's excellent. And, you know, one way we can support new teachers is that as a publisher for career and technical education, and that's all we focus on is career and technical education. We don't do any other subject areas, and we're about ready to celebrate our 100th year of being in business. So we've been working with educators for years and years and years and years, associations like ACTE for years and years and years, and we bring that into our product. And I've told so many new teachers this: you don't have to create everything on your own. There's a lot of good instructional materials and support out there, and as we focus on career and technical education, all the support and resources that we put in behind our content are geared to make teaching, I don't want to say easy, but at least it helps them simplify their lives so they can focus on the student and not worry about having lesson plans or having to come up with strategies for the day and new activities and pre-test and post-test and final exams, and all those resources are put together so that new teachers can come in and they can get those resources and use them and hit the ground running and do what they want to be teaching, because they want to influence students and they want to help students grow and be successful, and let them focus on that and let us help them with all those resources that can make them successful. There's a lot out there and it's already done. You don't have to do all this extra work on your own, because we can help you through that whole process.
That's awesome to know about. I know as a first-year teacher, I walked in with no content or curriculum and anything, and so I had to create most of my own from the ground up, and that was a struggle until I started finding good resources like that. So thank you for sponsoring, and thank you for helping us new teachers overcome those struggles and find good resources to teach with.
Well, you're welcome, and congratulations again. You've outstanding job, and keep up the great work, and we hope to see you win another award in the years to come. So thank you.